following is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
Metropolitan Toronto, 2.2 million on the shores of Lake Ontario, about to become Toronto the Too Good as they poise themselves for the best pair skating this side of Lillehammer. The dynamic duo from Detroit is Steve Yzerman and Sergei Fedorov. Fedorov, number 2 in the NHL in scoring electrifying moves. In this city, you dial 9119, and the red lights flash brilliantly. But can this twosome win some against Toronto's top tandem, Doug Gilmour and Dave Andreychuk? Gilmour's the best two-way player in the NHL this season. He's moved into the scoring race, 3rd overall, and Dave Andreychuk's right behind, the beneficiary of Doug's passing. Toronto and Detroit in one of our matchups tonight. But there are also questions in the nation's capital this evening. The Stanley Cup champions have often slid next to Parliament Hill. Will it happen against the Senators? Here's the dynamic duo question there. It begins with the Montreal Canadiens and their deux dangereux, Kirk Muller and his Canadiens cousin, Vinny. Captain Kirk Muller in New Jersey. Now Kirk's a leader as well with Guy Carbonneau. He's on a roll since Christmas. And Vincent Damphousse also's had the hot hand in the new year. The fact that the Habs can't handle the Sens makes little sense, except for this case, building with the youngsters. Alexander Daig, the number 1 pick this summer, and the number 2 choice overall last year, Alexei Yashin, joins him as their dynamic duo makes it 2 candidates for the Calder Trophy as Rookie of the Year. Yes, this evening, Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC comes to you in double vision. Great performers all around. There's a couple of fellows just earning their wings. And they're set for Detroit. And what a great lad who just blew his top. Hoping to see Wendell Clark. And if you're sitting there wondering, here's the good news. Wendell Clark's been out since December the 22nd. He'll be on the left wing for the Leafs tonight. He's not in the starting lineup, so he'll come off the bench at some point in the first period, no doubt, to a great ovation. That was moments ago in the pregame skate. Wendell Clark and the Leafs set for Detroit here, Ottawa and Montreal. This matchup at Maple Leaf Gardens conjures up memories of 42 when the Leafs erased a 3-game deficit in a best-of-7 to win the Stanley Cup, of 64 when Bobby Bonds scored, of 87 when Glenn Hanlon came in after the Leafs were up 3-1 in the playoffs and Detroit won it, and of Nikolai Borishevsky just last spring. Toronto-Detroit here, but before we set that scene, let's first get you up to speed on the game at the Civic Center in Ottawa. The Senators have beaten Montreal twice. For thoughts, here's Scott Russell. Way to go, Scott. What's that? What, are we on? Bob and Harry, I was going to introduce them, but you're screaming at the top of your lungs at what?
Ray Campanella never kicks the guys out. Ronnie, don't kick them out either. Ray, go. Way to go, Ronnie boy. Ronnie outside.
80-year-old guys still working at CBC? I didn't know that.
Not doing linesman anyhow.
Ron Asseltine, 60th birthday. There's the button right there. Happy birthday.
How could a guy look so good and be so old? Or
Makeup.
Makeup, yeah, my makeup girl leaves. What are we doing here?
Well, let's talk about the Detroit Red Wings. Here come the Maple Leafs with Wendell Clark.
All right, well, what they're going to do is what they do best. Throw the puck in. Detroit's got a weak defense. Defensively, throw it in, jam the net. That's what they're going to do. There's no... Hey, Leafs got no big plan or anything like that. That's what they do best, and that's what they're going to do. Detroit, they've got the best mobile defense. They've got the best forwards, but they're going nowhere till they get a goaltender. They don't make a trade within the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll eat your hat.
What about Wendell Clark? Must have returned for you for promoting him on Coach's Corner last week. He's been a star offensively for the Leafs. I know you've got a Red Wing that's really impressed you offensively.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'd say the most underrated guy in the league for sure, Ray Shepherd, 35 goals. Nobody knows the guy's alive. He's only making $500 grand. Guys making $6 million don't play as good as him. Most underrated guy. Coffey is playing as best he's ever played when he was in Edmonton. He's absolutely dynamite. Will you see him tonight? But again, I have to say it. I don't like to pick on guys. I'm saying nothing that nobody doesn't know. They're going nowhere till they get a goaltender.
Okay, 2 of your pals behind the benches this evening. We spoke to them in advance of this great matchup. Let's hear from Scotty Bowman and Pat Burns on strategy for this evening.
I think what we have to do is, it's going to be a tug-of-war game. And I don't think Detroit, historically, in the last few years, has won these kind of games. And that's, you know, blowout games are easy. I think the value of a goal in the NHL is important now. We can score goals. We're having a tough time keeping them out. We have to have more value on a goal.
Well, I think that Osgood didn't have a great game last night. Whether he'll come back with Shovel Day tonight or not, I don't know. I think that's one of points, we're going to have to get some shots on net. That's one of the things we'll have to try to do. And maybe use some speed, and their defense like to jump up a lot into the play, and we're going to try to, if we do get a turnover or transition, we're going to try to, we've been working on it all week, try to go with speed and maybe trap their defense.
The two categories that I think they lead the league in. They lead the league in taking the puck off their goaltender. Their goaltender doesn't roam around. If you shoot the puck in, it's not a good shoot in. It's set up for their defenseman. They're disciplined. He moves it to the wing, and it's out of their end. The other category that lead the league in is goals that are scored from less than 2 feet. So they go to your net with a lot of traffic. They've got good hands, and those kind of goals, if you look back at Toronto's goals this year, they've scored more close-in goals than any team in the league.
Scotty Bowman and Pat Burns, it'll be Shovel-Day Potvin in that matchup. Here's the distribution this evening. The Montreal Canadiens at Ottawa Senators. That'll be seen in the province of Quebec and in Ottawa. Viewers will get to see their Senators. The Detroit Red Wings and the Toronto Maple Leafs will be seen on both sides of the country and many points in between. Next on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
Hockey Night in Canada on CBC is brought to you by Molson Breweries, where every beer brewed is naturally aged and free of preservatives. And by Ford of Canada, where quality is job one, it's working.